Okay, we're live now on YouTube. Just this 1 second. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Welcome everyone dito sa latest episode ng Deep Dive. Kasama po natin si Tony. Tony, I couldn't find you, Justice Carpio, kanina sa group natin. Where is Justice Carpio? And I see Tony. It was like, oh my God, that's Justice Carpio, Antonio Carpio. Thank you very much. Molto bene, molto bene. How are you, Justice?
Well, fine. Nursing a cold, so uh, hopefully I'll be over this in a day or two.
Hopefully within a day, Justice, because we have our talk tomorrow with Ronald Llamas. I had to drag him in and all dyan sa Manila House. Bigla na-realize yung ka-time pala natin yung final game ng UP and Lasal. Kaya conflicted ako kung gusto kong manalo ang UP. Sabi ko, pag nanalong UP, edi yung third game, magkasabay kami. No, but I'm kidding aside. I'm sure maraming taga-Ateneo at UST ang darating bukas. I'm not sure about the UP and Lasal people, but I'm gonna bring my videographer para mapanood ng tao yung year-ender natin. I organized an economic version of that with Steve Conjieng and Jesus Felipe and of course Leloy Claudio. So back to back. But don't worry, sasabihin na naman tayo, Manels yan. We also want to have other panels later next year, hopefully with Prof. Cello, Heidi Mendoza, Prof. Munsud, among others. So Justice, hopefully by tomorrow you feel good enough to join us. Looking forward to joining us. Justice, bago tayo magsimula, ayan naman tayo. Kanina lang marami nakikita sa akin. Tuwan-tuwa sila. Sabi niya, ganda ng mga discussion niya about Marcoleta. Sabi ko, don't worry. We have even a more interesting discussion today. Justice Carvio is, you're free not to answer this question. I'm very curious. Is, anong pangalan niya? Nakalimutan ko na sa kakaanan niya. Is Rowena Guanzon a legal luminary? Where is she in the pantheon of legal minds?
Well, she was a past COMELEC commissioner, so on election law she would be an expert.
On an expert, that's a respectable level of discussion. Nagturo ba yan sa UP Law? Nag-publish ba yan at the highest levels? Justice is jurist ba siya? Ano bang ano niya?
Well, she's not a jurist, but she used to teach also, and I think she was briefly a commissioner of COA before she joined the COMELEC.
Interesting. Okay, so run of the mill technocrats like expert. Sige na nga, sige, Justice will keep it at there kasi her latest iteration is I don't know kung SMNI analyst and Mane Gallery some mumbo jumbo blog network. Anyway, Justice, thank you so much. Justice, I had one more technical question. Kailan ba my Gucci or my Rolex to be a legal mind, to be a fine legal mind?
Well, I don't wear a Rolex. I don't wear a Gucci. I wear a Barong all the time,
So
and
you're not a fine legal mind. You have no right, Justice
and
Scarpio.
I have an Apple Watch.
Go ahead, Justice Scarpio. May dalawang watch talaga na I always suggest for civil servants. One is Apple Watch, the other one is yung Casio na classic na suot ni Ma'am Dani. It's the safest watch. No one can question your style nor your lifestyle. I was like, kasi galing talaga yung Justice Carey, naka-Apple Watch lang talaga parang si Isko. Di ba si Isko yung naka-Apple Watch parati. Justice, I'm sorry for putting you in trouble. Alam ko, na-miss niyo ako kasi I've been away for quite some time kaya nagbubulian lang kami ni Ronald Llamas the other day. Justice, there are a couple of very serious things to discuss. Una-una, Justice, what is your read of yung nangyari sa BICAM? Because as of this taping, biglang parang nasuspend yung BICAM. It looks like there's no clear understanding on how to move forward, particularly itong request ng DPWH to restore some of the funds so that tuloy-tuloy rin ito.
Well, I think the deadlock is on the uh, augmentation of the MAIF. That's the really the pork barrel of the legislators, because they have to issue a letter of guarantee before the patient can be accepted by the hospitals. No, so uh, we're back to the pork barrel system. If that is upheld, it's the House contingent that is insistent on increasing the amount of the MAIF. No? But
Ano ulit yung MAIF for the purpose of people who are not familiar with justice? It stands
well,
for
it's the uh, if you if you have to go to the hospital and you don't have the funds, and because if you go to the government hospital under the Department of Health, the waiting time is so long. Maybe there are 300 people ahead of you. So uh, with the MAIF, I think that's the assistance to indigents. No? Uh, with MAIF, you can go to a local to a hospital of LGU, and with that letter of guarantee, they will endorse you, and you can get hospitalization for free. But the key there is a letter of guarantee from the legislator, and that makes it a pork barrel because, well,
yun nga.
the legislator should not have anything to do with the implementation. They legislate, they appropriate the the funds, but the implementation is executive function. So, uh, and they're adding to the budget of the MAIF, uh, and my objection there is they still have to fund the mandatory allocation to the PhilHealth, because from the sin taxes, I think the amount is, if I'm not mistaken, from the sin taxes, the amount that has to go to PhilHealth this year is 69.7 billion. From PAGCOR and PCSO, the amount that should go to PhilHealth is 21.17 billion. So what they're doing is they are they're putting priority to the MAIF of the legislators, the pork barrel. But the law says that PhilHealth shall receive its share from the sin taxes and from the PCSO and PAGCOR. And this is mandatory. That's in the law. They have to comply with that. The Supreme Court, in the decision that the court issued recently in the PhilHealth case, the court said the Congress has no discretion. It has to include that in the budget of PhilHealth. The sin taxes, in fact, is in the government now is in arrears. We're talking only for this year. So, but they're not giving any of the sin taxes to the government, to PhilHealth. They're just giving PhilHealth the ordinary operational expenses. So they should stop talking about augmenting the MAIF. They should comply with their obligation, comply with the ruling of the Supreme Court to 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 provide the funds from the sin taxes and from PCSO and PAGCOR.
Thanks for that, Justice. So yeah, just for the sake of people who are trying to catch up, we're talking about the medical assistance to indigent and financially incapacitated patients. No, so MAIF. So malaking bagay yan, obviously, because Justice, right, healthcare access is a very politically charged issue. People like Bongo have essentially made a whole political career out of it, right? By personalizing itong issue na yan. For marami sa ating kababayan who have had horrible experiences of being basically stuck in the hospital until they will pay it, right? And while the meter was running, I mean, lots of nightmare stories. So, but this is unfortunate also where a lot of political prerogatives comes in the picture and potentially abuses. So, this is an important issue. But what about the part on the DPWH funds, Justice? Particular Vince Dison was asking for restoration of some of the funds of DPWH. I mean, this is a big issue for a lot of people because there are a couple of economists like Dr. Jesus Felipe are arguing that one of the reasons why we're seeing economic contraction or rather slowdown in economic growth significantly is that either takot ang tao gumastos and kung lalong hindi bibigyan ng perang DPWH at hindi tutuloy itong mga infrastruktura, mga projects and all, then we're gonna actually make the economy sending the economy into a tailspin.
Well, I think the issue there is because the Senate cut down across the board uh, the budget of DPWH for infrastructure because the Senate assumed that I think everybody assumes that there's a lot of fat there that you can reduce it, and that's the problem now because the congressmen are saying it should not be reduced. Uh, the and DPWH now is saying also that the Senate should restore the cuts now. So, uh, but all of these are done through bidding, no? So if the bidding is honest to goodness, then the even if the allocated amount is higher than uh, what a bidder would bid, if there is an honest bidding, then you will get the people to compete. But if it is a bidding, which has been the case, we've seen that in the Senate hearings, then they will uh, the fat will never be taken off, no? So that's the question there. If the bidding is honest, then we don't have a problem. If you cut it down because you understand, you assume that there's a lot of fat there for the pork barrel, then these people, the people involved in these anomalies would just uh, still get their share, and then the project will suffer. I mean, the amount that will be spent on the project will be less. So it's a big problem. So the key there is there must be a honest to goodness bidding, and there should be no rigged bidding anymore, and that has to be fixed because if that's not
Fix
fixed, if
first. Unahin yan, sequencing.
yes,
Yeah.
that has to be fixed.
Absolutely. So ang inisip, so this is still the leaky bucket metaphor, right? Just as essentially you're saying, itakban mo muna yung leak and then we can put the money inside the bucket.
Yes, the problem is if you whatever amount you do you give will still be put to waste because the rigging will still be rigged. So you have to fix that, and that has not been fixed. That's a big problem. So they have to first ensure that there's civil society participation in the bidding. I mean, a member of the civil society must be a member of the bid committee, must sign the report. And the civil society should not be afraid to join because I understand that the civil society uh, representatives in those bidding committees are also being sued and they don't want to join anymore. So I think that's the price we have to pay to straighten this mess. No? Uh, and if they are being sued, the civil society should help these people uh, in their defense. No?
Justice, I know I don't want to tire you too much because I want to have you also tomorrow. Yung isa pang bagay na mahalaga na pinag-usapan ngayon is yung anti-dynasty bills. lampas na sa, I mean, 13 na ba ang nakita kong versions, and it's really a wild spread, is a whole spectrum of complete performative, if not enabling versions of anti-dynasty law na parang fina-formalize basically ang anti-dynasty law by imposing very token restriction to the extremely total ban version of any variation and manifestation of anti-dynasty bill. If you look at the Makabayan block version, and I would say also the Akbayan version, and then you have some of the more mid-range version, including by Senator Padilla. Just as from your understanding of these different versions of the bill, una, what does it say about the current state of play na even yung mga dynasties themselves are at least pretending to push for anti-dynasty bill? It's quite an interesting situation.
Yeah, it's from one end of the spectrum to the other end. You have the uh, political dynasties saying, uh, like the bill of Speaker D and Sandro Marcos. It's practically legitimizing political dynasties. And you have on the other end the bill of the uh, I think the Liberal Party and the Akbayan uh, and the Makabayan. No? Uh, but we have to be realistic. The Senate, the House is controlled by political dynasties. About 80% of the House members belong to political dynasties. The Senate, over 50%. So they will not kill themselves, obviously. They will not commit political harakiri.
Harakiri, yeah, yeah.
So they will enact, if ever they enact, they will enact a watered down bill, very watered down. So we expect that, and what we will do is to mount a people's initiative to amend that bill. People will get mad that Congress will come out with a very watered down
Tokenistic.
anti-dynasty, yeah, tokenism, and that's the time to mount a people's initiative now. That's my reading of the situation
That's
and
your,
how
that's
this
your,
thing will develop.
so Justice, obviously, putting that aside in terms of what should happen, marami kasing aspect yan, di ba? One aspect is, pwede ba sila sabay-sabay tumakbo sa isang posisyon, magkamag-anak? Yung isa pa is, pwede sila sabay-sabay tumakbo sa iba't ibang posisyon, national and local. Yung isa pa is, whether pwede immediately mag-succeed ang isang kamag-anak dun sa isang kamag-anak or yung asawa, ganito. And so there are many angles na kailangan magkaroon ng restrictions kasi nag-mutate itong political dynasty sa Philippines eh. Ano yung pinaka red line sa inyo, Justice? What is the minimum acceptable version of restriction on the proliferation of dynasties, since this is like a leaky bucket too? They're like coming out of 10 different sides.
Well, my proposal is one member of the political dynasty at the national level and one at the provincial level. So, and the national level will involve the president, vice president, senate, the senators, and the members of the House, including the party list. So, from a political dynasty up to the fourth civil degree, first cousins, only one can be there. And then at the local level, only one at the entire provincial level. So if one is governor already, that's it. If one is a mayor of one town, that's it. And there will be no succession. So if the political dynasty is represented at the national level by one senator, then not they cannot have a member of their political dynasty run for the Senate, maybe for the House they can, or the presidency or the vice presidency. So that's that would be my proposal. No?
Yun yung minimum acceptable, no? Kasi
Yeah.
dami natin versions, may obese version, may fat dynasty versions. This is not my term, this is the term of Ronald Mendoza and some of the other scholars. Kasi grabe, lumala na halos lahat ng position. Like, but the party list, di ba? So
Yeah,
meron district and then meron pang party list.
the party
Kinukuha.
list should be considered um, at the national level because the party lists are members of the House. That's considered a national position. So if you have a member of your political dynasty as a party list already, you cannot have another member of your political family run for another national position.
I realize that Duterte's have even a party list member. There's a Duterte na party list in Grab. I mean, the Duterte's no, at yun ang classic obese na dynasty, di ba? In every sense of the word. I won't say literally, but I mean, papunta tayo dyan at the ratings. By the way, just as before I put myself into more trouble, the other important question, of course, people are also asking right now is, nasaan si Bato? He cannot be reached, right? Tumatawag daw si Sherwin Gatchalan sa kanya. Now, I won't say whom, but someone has been showing an alleged warrant of arrest that says Barangay Bato. So yung palang, kaya pala Bato yung pangalan niya kasi galing talaga siya sa Barangay Bato in Davao. Justice, there's a place called Barangay Bato.
Well, I haven't encountered that name there, Barangay. I know there's a place there, Buhangin. That's where I come from. But Bato, maybe there is Bato sa Buhangin, no? There's a Buhangin
So,
district. There could be a Bato district.
that became a point of conversation kasi yun nga eh, like parang I don't know, there's some documents circulating or being shown by some insiders which suggest that ito nang bibigay nila sa ano pag if ever magkaroon ng Interpol warrant of arrest. Now, Justice, since last time everyone made fun of us when we said magkakaroon ng warrant of arrest for Digong, and here we are, it's the seventh month, sorry, ni Digong in detention. Um, Justice, would we hazard to also make another prediction na pwede tayong pagtawanan and then the next thing we know may monster na rin ng ibang member of the DDS gang? Are we expecting, Justice, that Bato could be next? I mean, why would he hide? I mean, is he in hiding in your opinion? Parang
Well,
Palawan daw, kung saan daw. Ay, sorry, Pampanga daw.
well, I think there is already a warrant of arrest, but uh, the warrant of arrest is confidential until it's revealed by the ICC or the recipient of that warrant of arrest. Because, of course, you don't want to announce it. But that's the if Bato and he is now in hiding, he must know something that he must he must believe that there is already a warrant of arrest and they're looking for him already, so he's hiding now. So the way I look at it, there is already a warrant of arrest because otherwise he will not be hiding.
Um, Except someone said there's a warrant of arrest, Ombudsman Ramulya, right? Kaya may nag-comment, nagko-coordinate ba itong mga to? May chat group pa sila? Why
Well,
would he do that?
but remember, the ICC said that it's confidential, so it could have been issued, but they're not acknowledging it. But if Bato is really fearful and is really fearful because he's hiding, then he must believe that there is already a warrant of arrest.
Medyo, parang, but again, yun nga, hindi ko maintindihan. Do you think, Justice, at there are times na medyo jumping the gun si Ramulya? Do you think sometimes he's a little bit, I won't say reckless, but he's a little bit overzealous since he has become ombudsman? Parang, parati siya may announcements, may sinasabi siya. Even on the ICI, parang basically in-imply na mawawala na rin yan, hindi, wala nang silbi yan. Is he overreaching? What's going on with Ramulya?
Well, I think he's trying to prepare the way. No, like the ICI, I think that that it really has to fold up because it's a duplication of work. Uh, the ICI was conceived at the time when there was the ombudsman, the office was vacant. There was no successor yet, and people were not happy with the incumbent at that time. So, and all the powers are with the ombudsman really. So you just have to to if anything has to be done, then what has to be done is just to add personnel to the Office of the Ombudsman, investigators, so that they can go all over the country investigating these ghost flood control projects. No?
Now, just speaking of ombudsman, of course, we all remember na figurine yung previous ombudsman, basically. Wala siyang ginawa. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Like figurine, whatever. So a part of me feels sometimes na parang bumabawi lang ito si Remulla, parang making up for lost time. Alam mo yung Justice, yung novel by Proust, In Search of Lost Time. I don't know if you've heard about that novel na 7 volumes, there's In Search of Lost Time. So I would say may ganun. Having said that, I want to go back to Bato kasi parang nagiging cardboard senator na si Bato, di ba? I mean, is there a way to ask, I don't know, Supreme Court or someone to step in and kick him out? Because if he's just gonna hide for the rest of the term, he's a waste of space there in Senate. Hindi kaya pwede dapat i-cancel na yung position niya sa Senate at some point and let 13 seats to be up for grabs by 2028 or some sort of replacement. Anong mechanism if, let's say, for the next 3 years, nagtatago siya, fugitive siya?
Well, the Senate can discipline him, or if he does not report for work. No, I mean, I think that happened to a congressman who left for abroad without informing the House or without securing the permit, and the Senate as a whole can do that also, because there is no reason for, it's not a valid reason not to report for work if you're afraid that a warrant of arrest will be served on you. That's not a valid reason. I mean, you have to allow the law to take its course, no?
If he becomes a fugitive, let's say maging open na to, hindi na siya secret, and Bato is hiding somewhere, I don't know whether barangay Bato or your barangay nearby or wherever, pwede ba maging vacant or ano? Is there a way to pressure the Senate? Kasi, to be honest, Justice, feeling ko minsan may tendency yung Senado na to protect their own ranks in the name of institutional integrity or
Yeah,
something like that.
they normally do that, but they did not do that in the case of Senator De Lima. Yeah, they cooperated with the administration.
But not in Trillanes' case, at least. And that's a good one, at least. Very questionable case, yeah. So, yeah, that's we're kind of in a weird territory. Should Bongo also worry? Do you think there's a credence to that's all obviously a bit trickier. The Bato one is obvious, but some would argue that Bongo is the COO of the whole operations. If CEO si Digong, and I don't know, Executive Vice President ni Bato, Bongo could be CFO, especially per the Garma testimony, which I believe is now being considered by the ICC too.
Yeah, for my personal opinion, I think there's a strong possibility that a warrant of arrest will also be issued against Bongo.
Oh. Parang ang dami maging bakante dyan sa Senado. Ang dami maging cardboard. Not to mention, there are a couple of other senators na hindi necessarily, tawagin natin soft DDS or subtle DDS or ano. Yeah, I mean, whether yung isa na magandang kilay, yung isa na akala niya safe na siya, tsaka yung isa na magaling, Oscars Awards ang
Yeah,
performance.
that's the other thing. I think it's overdue. They said by the December 15 there will be warrants of arrest. We're on the 16th already.
And
So
again,
we,
the deadline came from Remulla, right? He's the one making all of this announcement. Hindi naman
yeah.
pinapanindigan ng administrasyon.
So I think this week, if because I don't think the court will be issuing warrants of arrest after Christmas time, no. So I think those warrants of arrest should be issued
Within
week
this week.
already. Yeah,
For yung tatlong senator, J&J and ano,
yeah,
Hula
for the three
Kilay.
senators. Yeah,
Parang, Magiging ghost town na yung Senate Justice. I mean, ang daming mawawala. Yung isa fugitive na, yung isa hindi na alam kung fugitive na siya
Well,
soon.
but the one in the local one will be bailable, no? I think
Ay,
I
oo
don't know
nga
if
pala, available.
it might be bailable, no? But the amounts are huge enough to make it non-bailable.
Well, pero poorest naman daw yung isa, yung magandang kilay. Yung ano na lang, siya yung poorest senador, mas mahirap pa siya kay Rizon Tiveros. Biglang next thing you know, kayang-kaya niya magbayad ng bail ng 100 million. I mean, what a world. Pero Justice, can you imagine, may mag-usap sila, hoy, wag ka, kami, local kami ha, pwede kami mag-bail, di namin alam sa inyo, bahala kayo dyan. Can you imagine them doing that to each other? Hindi tayo kasama, kami bailable kami, kayo non-bailable. Justice, where do you think the Supreme Court could come in on this ICC jurisdiction issue? Because obviously, mutin academic na ang digong, wala na, nandun na eh. Archive na eh. But what about Bato and all? Do you think the Supreme Court could make a move again, another Deus Ex Machina on this front in terms of warrant of arrest, or the decision they made on the residual jurisdiction of ICC in the past should do it?
Well, I think Bato was asking for an order from the
TRO?
Supreme Court to for the DOJ to disclose, to give a copy of the warrant of arrest, but the court did not grant that request. So, uh, yes, there could be a ruling of the Supreme Court on the on 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 whether the the administration can implement, can surrender these people who have been issued warrants of arrest. No, so the same issue that former President Duterte raised before the Supreme Court, which became moot really because the plane had left already. So they could be that could be resolved also. No, but I really don't know the actual the stage where it is now. Now,
Justice, speaking of this, what do you think of that important case kung saan, remember yung isang survivor ng EJK? Na nadala yung kaso niya sa Philippine Supreme Court at parang na-dismiss siya. But the ICC took that case as credible. Do you know that case, Justice? I'm referring to there was one individual who survived the EJK of Digong. Eventually, the case was taken to the Supreme Court, if I'm not mistaken. Parang hindi pinatulan locally, but the ICC actually the ICC entertained it as credible evidence. I mean, isn't that kind of interesting in the sense that is it showing some discrepancy or asymmetry in approach in
well,
judicial approach to this
I'm not
question?
familiar with that case, but yes, I read about it that it was the Supreme Court dismissed it, and I think they filed an MR, motion for reconsideration, but I'm not too familiar with the details.
But down the road, this could have some reason. I mean, important legal implications, right? In terms of alignment and asymmetries and all. Last part, Justice. I want you to rest because tomorrow, hopefully, we can catch up in person. Justice, what do you think about this latest events sa West Philippine Sea? China being very, very aggressive. They just have a new ambassador in town. They're reaching out. Galing pa sa US yata yan. Nag-serve sa US, so it seems to be a very well aware person when it comes to dynamics of democracies and all, and obviously Philippine US alliance, and Xi Jinping wants to come next year from my understanding, as much as probably Trump could also be in town next year in the Philippines for our ASEAN chairmanship. Why would China do something like this Christmas pa, Justice? Are they trying to set the tone for next year? Or is this again for their domestic audience? They want to just flex their mga.
Well, you must recall that Skoda Shoal is where our Coast Guard vessels stayed for several months now. and it had to leave because they ran out of supplies, and the Chinese came in, took over, and I think they want to prevent our even our fishermen from going there and staying there. Uh, so I think they're just continuing their policy that it's theirs already. We left that area because uh, we ran out of supplies. But I think that's where we should now resort to other measures. Uh, we should bring another arbitration case for damages against China for preventing a fisherman from fishing in our own exclusive economic zone. I mean, you have a right to be there to fish. That's the ruling of the tribunal. That's part of our exclusive economic zone. So we can actually bring a case against China and recover damages for preventing our fishermen from fishing there. We cannot just treat this just as like another uh, incident again
Oh, hindi
because
pwede normalize, no?
yeah,
Yeah.
we we have to go to the next level, no, and there's no point in filing another protest because we know that China will not do anything, and this is an occasion to bring this to the tribunal again. I hope our policymakers consider this because we all know that China will make this permanent already. We cannot go back there. And that's why we have to bring this to the tribunal and recover damages because the tribunal will say that China cannot prevent that and China must pay damages for preventing our fishermen from fishing there.
Uh, just to end on this note, though, Justice. So, what do you want the Philippines to do as we take up the mantle of ASEAN chairmanship? Clearly, we cannot be outside totally of the ASEAN consensus as we speak. May gera na naman ang Cambodia and Thailand. So obviously, palpak na naman yung peace ano ni Magaman si Trump. Obviously, East Timor coming in. That's going to be a lot of logistical and developmental and institutional challenge. Myanmar is still a big humanitarian crisis. And much of the ASEAN doesn't seem to be in a mood to take on China at this point in time, given their economic dependence, if not otherwise. So realistically, Justice, like, how should the Philippines steer ASEAN chairmanship in ways that helps yung situation sa West Philippine Sea?
Well, the I think the Philippines should start already bringing up the idea that the ASEAN must have a dispute settlement mechanism on territorial disputes. Right now, there is none. There's a optional, but there has to be a compulsory dispute settlement mechanism on these territorial disputes because how can we become a union, an economic union, when we have territorial disputes? In the EU, before you join the EU, you must settle all your territorial disputes with other states. You cannot be a member. That's why all the EU members have no territorial disputes uh, between or among themselves because they've settled that before joining the EU. Now, if we the unfortunately ASEAN did not adopt that method, and so you have two members of ASEAN having territorial disputes on their boundary, Cambodia and Thailand. No? And we also have territorial dispute with Vietnam and Malaysia over the Spratlys. So we should come to an agreement and have this settled. And there's no other way to settle it peacefully except to submit it to compulsory arbitration. So we should. This is the missing. This is a hole in the ASEAN architecture because there's a dispute settlement mechanism for commercial disputes. In the case of maritime disputes, all the coastal states of ASEAN are members, so there is also dispute settlement mechanism, a compulsory dispute settlement mechanism, but in terms of territorial disputes, there is none. And that's why you have this problem with Cambodia and Thailand. So I think that should be addressed. That should be one of the areas that we can develop and start discussing already. Yeah, be resolved in this summit, coming summit. But the idea should be there, so this will be discussed in future summits also.
Tsaka yung maritime delimitation din, no? Kung saan talaga yung ating overlap. Hindi China, obviously China is claiming
Yeah,
everything, but at least sa Vietnam and some of the other neighboring countries, no?
yeah. Well, Vietnam and Malaysia and the Philippines are all members of
One
UNCLOS. We
plus, yeah.
can bring it to arbitration. Where we can,
Right.
at any time, it's just a political will on the part of our government. But when it comes to territorial disputes, there's no mechanism for bringing it to compulsory arbitration.
On that note, thank you so much, Justice. Ang dami natin gustong pag-usapan, especially, Gucci, Rolex, legal luminaries. O in fairness, mukhang ano naman, mukhang hindi naman ano si Marcoleta. Justice Carvio, thank you so much for sharing your time and energy. As you can see, ako naman, I'm a little bit under the weather now. But don't worry, God willing, patapos na rin to. This is also towards the end. I think flu season talaga, no, Justice?
Yes.
Nagkasabay yata tayo nagkasakit. Like 5 days
Yeah.
din ako magsakit.
Yeah. I still have a little cough now.
Oh, dry cough pa eh. May mga huling El Bimbo yan. So I'm still wondering if I'm gonna do a late night run, jog, or maybe I'll just rest it out. Thank you so much, Justice. Mabuhay ka and looking forward to our discussion in flesh tomorrow, of course, with other interesting characters, including, of course, yung pinakagwapong political analyst na si Ronald Llamas, at least according to Attorney Guanzon. And of course, yung totoong gwapo na analyst na si vlogger na si Chris Tan. On that note, thank you, Justice Carpy, and see you at the Manila House. God bless po.